Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jairus Matthew Copeland. This is In Need of Attention. This podcast is a safe space. In this podcast, some of the kind of foundations and ground rules of it is this. We believe that there is more for people, that better is available, and we are stubborn in our belief that there's more perspective to gain. Like I previously said, my name is Jairus Matthew Copeland. I am your host. I am adjusting my shirt, so I'm sorry if that's weird. I am going to do an episode today that I think will be pretty quick. It's something that is ongoing for me and I think ongoing for you, and it's all about this idea. It's all about dismantling, I almost dropped the mic, inner vows. Inner vows. I'm going to explain what that is after I give you my little bit. So when I was a awkward 7th and 8th grader, my 7th grade year, I was like 5'6", solid height. Some men still are that. I'm sorry to hear that. And over the summer, I grew 6 inches. Hey, I'm just kidding. Maybe more than once. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I grew 6 inches in height, straight up. And it changed everything for me. I became the tall kid. Football-wise, I just was bigger than everyone, so I had some more success. My freshman year of high school, I looked like Cam Newton running around the field. The files deleted, I'm finding them, all right? I email Huddle every week. And what came with that height, I'm going to stop saying 6 inches. What came with that 6 inches, pause, is a clumsiness. So I was your stereotypical clumsy, awkward, funny, disproportionate, prepubescent, or probably in the middle of pubescent, teenager, 13, 14, 15, body bigger than my maturity could handle, all the things, right? And there came a time where I got really frustrated and I became really over falling, like physically falling, tripping, missing things and looking stupid, right? All this stuff. And I remember distinctly making the decision, I don't fall. I'm not going to fall. And making that decision, I didn't. Excuse me. I didn't fall. I actually was very balanced. And I found myself portraying and making choices and decisions to look a lot smoother, try to be a little more in control. And I thought that control manifested through the physicalness of I don't fall or trip or whatever would mean more girls would like me. I'd be more respected and taken more seriously. And overall, I would just have an advantage. And by making this decision, I changed my life. I changed my life for the better momentarily. But what I did was I set myself back because that was the first serious, distinct inner vow I made in my life. I won't fall. And if anything, this is when it can turn into an analogy, making the inner vow that I won't fall made me falling 10 times worse. When I look at my life, the times I've fallen flat on my face physically, the times I've fallen flat on my face situationally, professionally, relationally, it was made 10 times worse because I had a predisposition to fearing falling. Inner vows are these things that we make when our fear, our experience, our desire to have a better outcome trumps the natural forces and experiences of life. If you go down the stairs quickly in slippery socks, you're probably going to fall. I made that inner vow when I was 13 years old. I give you my word, I did not fall for 6 years straight. I think that's pretty impressive. The detriment of that was, in my life, I wasn't prepared to fall. And I thought that going through my life, going through my experiences, if I could control the fall or ensure that I couldn't fall, that everything would be okay and everything would be good. But the problem with that is that if you don't allow yourself to fall, you'll never learn how to conduct yourself differently. And if you never learn how to fall, you're never going to learn what to do after you fall. So when we form these inner vows, this is a silly example of one. We're saying internally in our heads and sometimes out loud, I will never blank. I'll never let anyone fill in the blank. I won't this. No one will ever do that again. And these inner vows, there's something that they're not just mantras. They're not just goals. They're a part of our soul. They create these connections from our heart to our brain, and express themselves through our actions, our words, the things that are subtle to other people but big deals to us, and the way we conduct ourselves because we can't afford the thing we're most afraid of. I've got some notes today I'll reference in a second, but I want to say to the person who has inner vows, you're a normal person. And what makes you normal is that you're fearful. What makes you human is that you're uncertain. And your desire to control the outcome isn't bad. Your effort to control the outcome is where the error lies. And so today, I want to talk about dismantling and disowning inner vows for the purpose of freedom. For the purpose of freedom. So the first note I have, inner vows hold us from healing. Inner vows hold us from healing. When you have an inner vow, you're saying, I'm not going to allow this to happen. And what you're saying is an entire segment of my emotions, an entire segment of relationship, and an entire segment of interacting with others, I'm not going to experience, and I'm not going to allow to happen again, because the first time it happened, it was life-altering. And any time you are limiting the experiences you can have, you're limiting the degree to which you can heal. I think for most people, the idea of inner vows is a form of protection and security, right? They feel insecurity in an area because that area is worth securing. It makes total sense to me. The problem is our method of security is flawed. I recently talked to J.B. Copeland, a friend of mine. He just had his book come out called The Sappy Medium. And go watch our episode. It's on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, everything like that. And he was explaining to me how the reason they landed on sappy, right? It's kind of the crux of his entire thing, was when a tree is bruised, it can produce sap almost as like a healing oil or ointment to the area it's bruised. And that when you're feeling emotions, when you feel certain feelings or have certain thoughts that direct you towards controlling an outcome, what it really is sap looking to heal a situation. And the question I would pose is, how much sap, how much healing have you held away from wounds that needed healing? All inner vows come from a break in trust, a betrayal of circumstance, a relationship, a person who you trusted, and they rewarded you with a broken heart. And your body, your feelings are indicators. And those indicators, your natural responses, is your nervous system, is your body trying to send sap and feelings to alert you, hey, there's something here. To try and help, protect, and meet you in the area you need it. And if you're unwilling to even engage in that area, then you're unwilling to be healed. And nobody, really in any situation, wants to be around someone who is willfully unhealed. There's a difference between being ignorant, right? Like not knowing, like, and not in a bad way. Like, I feel like ignorant used to be like a cuss word. Like you call someone ignorant, you're ready to fight. Ignorant really just is like, hey, I just don't know, right? Like if you were to talk to me about like astrophysics or like the Indiana Fever's cap situation in the WNBA, I'm ignorant. I just don't know, right? I'm not familiar with it. There's a difference between being ignorant and willfully making a choice, right? If you know this area is unhealed, if you know I formed an inner vow for a reason and you're choosing to stand on that and live by it, then great. But don't be shocked when people don't want to engage with you in certain areas because you're choosing to be unhealed. You're choosing control. And I don't judge you for choosing control. I've done it in so many areas. I'm doing it in so many ways now even. And it's not the answer. It's not something that is propelling you forward. It's not something that's healing you. It's something that is holding you back. And an inner vow doesn't just stop you from healing. An inner vow holds you back. It holds you back. The next one is inner vows limit our impact. Anything I internalize and decide it within my brain, within my heart, what I believe about myself has external ramifications. And if I'm making inner vows to not allow for certain situations, certain people, certain feelings, I'm limiting the opportunity I have to connect with others. This whole life is a game of connections, right? Like this idea of like Nepo babies, right? And like, oh, they're only there because they like know someone, their parent, their whatever. The idea that like, oh, it's all about who you know. If you know this person, you could get a job. If you know this person, they could put you in this situation. They could put you on here, right? I go to networking things. Why? I want to get to know people. Got to network. My net worth is my network, right? All the cliches, all the things have to do with connection and the advantage that connection offers. More than the business side, more than the, what I want to accomplish and do in my life. Connection for me is something that inherently I need in order to just be a healthy individual. If it's up to me, I am very introverted. I'm very to myself. I would probably say less than 500 words a day if it wasn't for living with my wife or working with other people. And when me and my wife are in a fight, like right now, and we're not talking, that lack of connection is apparent for both of us. The ignoring, the logistic handling, right? Like Mo needs this. Let's do that. Hey, don't forget this. Instead of actually going into the conflict, is something that robs us both of a connection that not only we both desire, but we both vowed to keep stoking, to keep going, right? And that lack of connection leads me to believe a lot of things internally. Oh, this is just like this experience. Oh, I'm right because of that. And as I start to have those thoughts, and as I start to have that inner dialogue, I'm limiting my opportunity for connection. And more than anything, what I would say to someone is, as you limit your connections, you'll limit your impact. Because I can talk to this screen, I can talk to someone in another state, another country through this camera. But what good is that if I can't even connect with my own life? What good is that if I can't even connect with my own family? And I'm not here to just say things to say things. I'm here to say things for the purpose of helping people. And I can't help people if I don't help myself first. I can't help people if I don't put my hand up and go, hey, this is where I'm feeling. This is where I need it. And if I want to truly have an impact, if you truly want to have an impact, inner vows limit that. They limit that. Inner vow I made based off of, growing up as a kid. So my parents got divorced when I was 8 years old. And I experienced on both sides, right? It's not that either person is a bad person or a bad parent even. It's just they were put in an impossible situation. But I found myself in situations where I was on the brunt end of, at times, both my parents, but even sometimes more, my dad's anger, his anger, right? And the joke amongst kids or products of divorce, if you will, is like, oh, my parents are getting divorced. They got divorced. And it's like, oh, well, what did you do, right? Like, I believed I did things, I've done things to cause my parents to break up. And when I experienced that anger, that was a telltale sign that not only I did something wrong, but I was causing that or furthering that. And I had to do a lot internally and a lot of maturing to realize not only was that I'm not the reason my parents got divorced, but that anger wasn't always rightfully placed on me, right? There were situations, sure, I did something that makes someone angry versus like, oh, they're angry about something else. I didn't have like the ability to know what that is or what that meant. And I remember making a vow that I won't get angry. I won't be angry. I won't do it. The logic being that no one actually knows what can hurt me. And so as a result, no one can actually make me angry. And that lasted for a while. And it worked, right? Like it landed in a spot where people were like, oh, Jay's so calm. Oh, Jay is so this. Jay is so that. It was all the things I wanted. But what it robbed me of was the ability to express myself fully. And it forced me to internalize a lot of emotions and feelings because I couldn't communicate them externally at the risk of looking, sounding, or being angry. And so I was fine until I wasn't. Everything was good until I blew up. And when I blew up, it wasn't just that you did this. It was all the other situations behind me that I never truly addressed, that now you're experiencing the wrath of that. And so I developed this reputation within my family or people I'm close to of, oh, Jay, super chill, really good guy. But if you make him angry, look out. And when I got to this stage of blowing up or being angry or whatever, I had no control over my feelings, my emotions, my anger. And so at that point, I'm just like a skinny Hulk. No rhyme, no reason, just destruction. And the effect that had on the connections in my life, the relationships in my life, the outcomes I wanted to have was dire. It was serious. And I had to learn, I had to mature and go, you know what? Anger isn't the bad thing. How I respond out of it is, right? I'm currently very angry about a number of things. I'm angry about this client I'm working with right now. I'm angry about the guy who was doing the renovation on our house and then dipped out and doesn't want to talk to me and acts a certain way. I'm very angry about that, actually. I'm angry. Like I said, I'm fighting with my wife right now. I'm angry about a lot of stuff. And that's good. I should feel angry. I should feel something because it means I care. But what I shouldn't do is out of that anger cause disconnection, cause further pain, physical pain. I shouldn't cause destruction. I shouldn't use my words and the skills I have to be harmful. I should use them in trying to find a solution, right? And that inner vow, I won't get angry, I won't be angry, was limiting the impact I could have because I could never actually go into conflict with people, which means I could never get to a resolution with people. And there were so many situations in my life that I got caught up in because I was unwilling to be angry. And on the end of being allowed to be angry, allowing myself to feel anger, I don't take it out in, hurting people or being mean. But it's an indicator for me that, hey, this is an area I'm just going to have to go into. I'm going to have to pay more attention to. I'm going to have to be more mindful of and go out of my way to attend to it. Because if this anger is left unattended, if the vow I have is left unattended and that emotion, feeling, action is just unattended, it's only going to further the inner thoughts, the narrative I have that helped me form this vow in the first place. Inner vows will limit the impact you can have. And the last one here, as I'm wrapping up, is inner vows rob us of freedom. They rob us of freedom. This is kind of my kick right now. When you have an inner vow, when you have come to agreement with yourself that certain actions, certain emotions, certain feelings aren't allowed, you are choosing slavery. You're choosing to give up your own freedom. And I don't say slavery like willy-nilly or like just like on a whim. I don't have a better word. I say it very intentionally because there are real people who experience actual like captivity and slavery physically, right? We know that, well, most of us know the history of it, specifically in this country. Most of us can acknowledge that. But what we don't always acknowledge is the mindset of that. And it's this idea that as I am experiencing a new circumstance, I'm experiencing a new feeling, I'm experiencing a new situation, I'm uncomfortable and unfamiliar with it. And from that place, I reflect more fondly on what I know. And most of the time, what I know is dysfunction, right? Recently, I was talking to someone, they just bought a new home. And they bought a new home in an area different than they lived before. And before, they were living with someone who was harming them. They left that, and now they live in a new place. And someone was saying, oh, is this new place you live in safe? Like the area, like the surrounding streets and neighbors and houses? And my comment was, well, even if they do sell drugs or they do all that, it's probably safer than where she was before. And it was like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. And I don't say that to say like, oh, that person's a slave. I say that to say like, we as humans have been shaped and formed to remember things and recall things inaccurately. Like you look more fondly on things that really were not healthy for you, right? It's the idea of like, oh yeah, it was great, they just lost their temper. It's like, well, no, they abused you actually. Oh, like this was safe or whatever. It's like, well, no, they ripped the door off the hinges, right? They threw their laptop at you. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's not as safe as you thought it was. And it's not that you're a bad person, but like me, you're a slave to what you know. Because what you know is comfortable. What you know, you're familiar with, right? It's this idea, it's in the Bible, the nation of Israel. The kind of narrative and story of it is they go on this 40-year-long journey out of Egypt, and God drops bread from the sky for them to eat every day. And at a certain point, they start to like, it says like grumble and complain. Like, oh man, I miss this soup we used to have. Just the onions and this and whatever. And it comes to a point, it's like, hey man, you eat for free. You follow a cloud in the sky to get where you're going. Like, you're protected. Bread falls every day like rain. And you're dreaming of a soup that you want to go back to. But if you were to go back to it, you'd be going back to being a slave. And inner vows hold us in a place where we willingly rob ourselves of freedom. If you truly believe, I'll never find this person, I'll never put myself in a situation to feel this again or do this or whatever, you're robbing yourself of the freedoms of this life. We're meant to fall in love. We're meant to experience pain. We're meant to go through this life in such a way that as we accumulate experience and knowledge, we form wisdom for the purpose of passing it on. And you're not allowing yourself to have that opportunity by forming inner vows and things that rob you of the freedoms of this world. Here we live in a place where we're allowed to say what we think. We're allowed to say what we feel. We're allowed to believe what we want to believe. That's not a privilege everywhere. And internally, we have a framework that is furthering that sense of captivity. And what I would say to you is that dismantling your inner vows will allow you not just to experience freedom and those feelings that you're putting to the side and those emotions you're unwilling to go into, but on the other side of it, you'll actually experience more joy, more happiness, all the things you think you need to control things to get. And I'm a person who, as I work through my inner vows, the things I believe about myself, the things I'm never going to let anyone do or anyone touch or anyone talk about, I'm finding the more that I talk about that stuff, the freer I feel. And I'm finding the more I acknowledge and go into those emotions and things, the less material there is for me to believe when it comes to the lies in my head, the lies of others, and the perceptions I'm afraid of being attached to me. I think any person who lives a life free of inner vows is someone who's living a life of freedom. And no matter what you believe, what you think, where you find yourself, you were meant to live a life of freedom. My name is Jairus Matthew Copeland. This has been the latest episode of In Need of Attention. Thanks for listening.